3 shots, 4 par, I just do 2. 1 putt, par 4, birdie, woohoo. New driver, info, replace, M2, par 5, fairway, what you fin do? Think I'll try to get on into. Start right, good line, good view. It drew, shoot and McGavin. 2 thumbs that's up high and 2 fingers.
On the Screws podcast presented by Manscaped. April is National Testicular Cancer Awareness Month, and we have partnered with Manscaped, as usual, to help spread the word. Visit manscaped.com/TCS to learn more about simple self-checks and cancer prevention, and share to help save a life. Get 20% off using the code OTS Golf, completely unchanged, at manscaped.com. And while you're checking out, make a donation if you can to the Testicular Cancer Society at TC Society over on Instagram. Hashtag shave to save if you're posting anything on social media. If you just kind of want to learn, bring some more awareness, or kind of learn about how to do self-checks, you can do that here or at the link below in the description. Please do so. Bryce, what's going on?
Nothing. Shaved yesterday, did my unibrow, got merch in,
Nice.
Feeling fresh, so
like it.
ready to go.
I need a haircut desperately. Not that well, I don't know. I guess I could use my 4.0 on that. But yeah, I trim up the beard. It's getting a little long. I don't know. I think I gotta change out now. Maybe go mustache.
I use it like first stage. Like I get like the long stuff off,
Yeah,
and then I go with like the normal razor.
You
Works pretty good.
You give it a rinse, or
Yeah.
So this week on the pod we have Jaclyn Lee. So I'm just gonna take a minute. Little apology from Mac here. My audio, actually my mic, so we don't hear it all the time in real time, but my mic was going to Mike Heaven. It was on its way to Mike Heaven, and
yeah,
hopefully you can hear me right now, and I think I sound good. I got some new headphones. We got a new mic. Got a little sticker on here too. Just
hey,
like
you're
Brycer.
looking good.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully you're sounding good.
I hope so. We will give this a listen. So it was just like a little bit of popping. We heard it last week in the episode with the Stillway podcast, Carrie Moffat. So we have Jaclyn Lee on. She was a great guest, really good. But when you hear me talking, sometimes there's going to be a little popping as my mic was on its way out. Hopefully you can suffer through it for the boys here. I would appreciate that. And yeah, great episode with Jaclyn coming up. But yeah, I thought we'd fire on here, Bryce, and talk a little bit about our golf games. We've been able to play. We were just talking about how we both have like an inch and a half of snow on the ground right now. But
yeah,
I was out this morning, played 12 holes with a couple of buddies, Chef Mike, golf with Greg. If you're in the area, you might know him. He does like giveaway posts and stuff, which is cool. And a gentleman named Corey, really good guy. We had a good time. Yeah, we were kind of talking, Bryce, like, I haven't kept score yet, and you were like, "Oh, I started, and I'll keep score to the day I die," kind of thing. So
yeah, I will never play golf without keeping score. Would you say what?
You went low though. You went. I mean, like 75, 70, not low.
I shot like 76,
yeah.
but I didn't play well. I don't think. I mean, my game has switched this year. I guess like my irons are horrible.
Yeah.
My driver's like standard down the middle, which is great, fantastic. But I'm a putter now. I was just rolling the rock.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're turning over a new leaf this year. Breaking 70, hopefully. If I can putt, I don't know. My chipping is horrendous, though, so I got to work on that.
It's hard to say though. Like my course is Port Hope Golf and Country Club is right on the lake here, Lake Ontario. One of 6 courses that are set on the lake, and like today I hit like I'm no Mac Boucher, but I hit like a 40 to 50 yard sling. I like an actual 40-50 yard sling in the wind today. And like it was all right. I actually made a par out of it, I think. But it's just like tough, man. Like the ball was rolling. Like when you put the ball down, you mark it, and the ball would roll away. Like the wind was that strong. Like so, I was saying like the 9th hole and 10th hole, they're kind of like parallel to one another. Similar distance. I think they're both about 340 or something like that, 330. So on the I hit like a 240 yard drive into the wind on the one, and I hit it okay. Like maybe it was even a little bit less. I might have had 120 in, so it might have been like, I don't know, 230, something like that. I don't know. So I ended up making a 5 there, 3 putted on that hole. Like, which if you play Port Hope, the 3 putts. Like, there's a lot of them. They're the hardest greens in the area. There's no greens harder in Southern Ontario, maybe. Jeff, the super there, does a great job. Get on the 10th hole, and there's like a bunker right in front of the green, and then a bunker just left, and there's
I
kind
mean,
of a
you're right
switch.
downwind. Yeah.
Yeah, and I roasted it. I was like
Nice.
25 feet from the hole, so also made par. Also three putted that one, but it's like I was standing over the ball, and I'm like looking like where the pin in is, and I was like, guys, I'm either like still on this ledge 6 feet short, 7 feet short with like a lot of movement, or I'm 10 feet past the hole. And a lot of the putts are
Mhm.
like that. And my first year there playing like consistently, so I got to
Like you really have to dial in your wedge shots. So you got to know where to hit the ball.
exactly, you got to be
Yeah.
below it all the
Yeah.
time. So like, you know, Chef and Greg were 40-50 yards short or something like that, and like they I think they both made pars, but like it would almost be easier pitching a ball to keep it like not easier than putting from 25 feet, but like you're guaranteed a par from there, but hopefully. But yeah, it was just like it's easier to get below the hole there, I think. So things to learn, which is good course management. But I
Yeah.
was saying like I don't know, I haven't like kept score. I had 6 or 7 pars in a row the other day, which was pretty nice, but like I'll fire a couple double bogeys off the start and stuff. Like it was,
Yeah.
it's tough. There's a lot of wind there right now, and I just find like I don't know. I like to go out there and just like get creative, especially in the wind. I like to get creative. Played with
Yeah.
6 clubs today. Six.
Yeah.
What do I have? A 3 iron, 5 iron, 7 iron, 52, 60,
Putter.
and a driver and putter. I don't know.
Yeah.
7
My
clubs. for me,
round, I don't
so,
know. My round was okay. I mean, I was happy with it.
Yeah.
Like I said, it was so windy. Like I was happy with it. I just my chips are on the greens are just not like I duff one from like 6 yards and like doubled. I flared one way right from like 49 or something like that. And then I had two that were at like 110 that like I put within 6 feet and made birdies on them, which was fantastic. But two out of probably seven. So it's just like something I need to get better at. But um other than that,
you
I
tip
had
it up
first
there.
hole. What?
You played from the tips.
Yeah, it's not that far though.
66.
6,700 or
Yeah,
66.
67. Yeah. I'm looking at it right now.
No,
So I'm looking at the scorecard you sent me. How do you not tell people that you start off the season with a birdie?
yeah, I was just gonna get into that. And
Okay,
then
okay. All
yeah,
right.
I was just gonna. But
Sorry.
the reason I don't really brag about it is because I went birdie double to start my season, and then back nine birdie double standard. But
Yeah, no, it was pretty good though. Like it looked like a
I
pretty
don't
good
know.
round.
I was happy with that round though. It was tough conditions for sure. It was real cold. Ball wasn't going anywhere. But
Yeah.
I played all right. I was happy. Just my wedge game frustrating.
We'll get you out to Port Hope. It's tough, man, because it's only I don't have the scorecard in front of me, but it's not much over 6,000 yards. Might be 6,400, but like it's a shot maker's course. You cannot you just can't try to overpower it. It doesn't work, right? So
See, that's not me. I am the guy to just overpower it. You know,
it,
I'm not really too creative. I don't really have that ability. I mean, I do in some cases, but most of the time I'm just hitting my little cut
yeah,
off the tee, my little cut off in the fairway, and two
we
putting or four putting. You know.
so we get to the fourth hole today. You're gonna like this story, Bryce. We get to the fourth hole. It's 5, I don't know, 5 and change downwind. I think I might drive about 300. Like I got a good poke and it was downwind, so
Yeah.
had like two. No, it can't be that far. So I only had 190 in or something like that. And I was in between clubs, and I had a 7 iron and a 5 iron because obviously I split up the bag a little bit. I was walking today, and I'm still trying to get in shape here. I'm a little
Yeah.
so light bag today, and yeah, so I hit a 7 iron. I was like, I get it there. I think I don't know.
You were what 210?
No. I had
Oh,
190
you're what 190.
downwind, downhill, probably playing like I in my head I was like maybe it's playing 165, 170, which is
Yeah.
if I hit a 7 iron good, I get it 170. Like
Yeah.
you know, I've talked about my clubs before. They're like Strixon's a tour issue model. Their pitching wedge is like 48
6.
degrees, man.
47, I think.
Yeah, 47. Might be 47 and a half. They're all anyway, so like some people are in 42-degree pitching wedge. So that's just the idea is like the clubs are kind of dialed back, at least typically one from most models, right? You're playing clubs from a few years ago, so yours might not be. But
My pitching wedge is 46.
yeah, I think mine's 47 and a half. And but I like it. Like I like the set. It's just you're naturally going to lose some yards in comparison to like a newer model. Like Bryson's pitching wedge
Yeah.
is like, I don't know, 30 degrees or something stupid.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
so,
ridiculous.
yeah. But so anyway, I put it in the drink. Like I got it wet on the way in,
Uh-huh.
and so I talked Corey, who was playing with us. I talked him into going for it in two, and so the pin was in the front right. This green is absolutely not receptive at all. But
46, you're pitching wedges.
no, it's 47 and a half. They're bent afterwards.
Oh, sorry.
yeah. They're a little they're a little off. I think the standard is
I didn't know
46.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
go ahead.
when you look at them, it's a lofty pitching wedge.
Yeah.
Which is nice. Like I like the visual look, like the Strixon's
scoring
pretty
club.
sweet. So, but I like it because the gapping is like pretty nice for me too. So I play the 50. Like even when I had the 50-degree Vokies, I had 51, 54, 58 or something. I kind of like that setup, but so I talked Corey into it, right? I talk him into like going for it, and he hits a great shot. He hits it to probably, I don't know, 12 feet, and so he's got an eagle putt. He hits the ball a long way too. Good player, and so on the way down, I like take my drop or whatever, and then I hit it to like 3 feet, 4 feet. And I'm telling him about all the movement in the putts, and I'm like going like match play kids, right? I'm like, right away, I'm like, I wish I could have hit a shot like as good as his approach shot. So I was just like, I'm gonna get in his head a little bit, and I'm telling him how much like, I'm saying like if you miss it, like you're going 6 feet coming back, right?
What do you leave it 4 feet short?
No, so he burns the edge and goes 6 feet past, 7 feet past.
Oh,
and then I was in his head coming back up. And so he makes par. He 3 putts for par, which was unfortunate. But again, like Port Hope's greens are very tough. It's hard to roll putts in. You got to go play it if you haven't. Definitely go check it out. 25 minutes. Well, it's an hour east of Toronto. That's a good idea for people. But so I hit mine to like 4 feet or whatever. I don't know, something like that. Maybe five. So I walk up to my putt. I put the ball down. As I'm getting up, I said, "Can you believe we have the same outcome on the hole?" And I like tapped the putt, like I barely touched it, and like no, walked it in. It was pretty funny. It was pretty good. So that was like why I'm telling that story is not to kind of like beat up Corey for making a 3-putt, but like to be getting up and down to save par early in the season. Like those are kind of the wins I'm trying to take right now. I don't really know.
Sure.
I don't know if I'm trying to keep score. I'm putting up like, like I said, I think I had 4 or 5 birdie putts in a row the other day and didn't make any of them. 7 green regulation.
At least you're getting them though.
That's the thing. Like, and it's a nasty like putting surface. So the idea now.
I don't agree with you getting in Corey's kitchen this early, but that's between you and him.
Well, he was playing a match with Greg, right? He was playing a match with Greg, so I was just kind of like getting at the balls a little bit.
Third party.
Yeah, just trying to like get involved however I can. I'm pretty sure. So I went like double off the start. Like yesterday I thought I made a hole in one, Bryce, and then I made a 4. I was by myself, but the good thing is like Port Hope starts off as a par 3 now, which is kind of unique. It's kind of strange actually, but
hole
it's like,
1's a par 3.
Yeah, it used to be hole number 3, and actually it used to be number 5 in the back. So they've had to restructure the course because they're building.
Well, they
houses,
just
right?
they redid like a bunch of stuff there, didn't they?
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a nice par 3, but it's like kind of unique in the sets. But anyway, I was thinking to myself, I couldn't see because it's so windy. As soon as you look up, it's like your eyes fill with water. You're like, I'm crying right now. I can't see the ball. But like I knew it was right at the pin, and I saw it land, and then it disappeared. And so the pin was at the back, and it rolled off the back, and I ended up like I couldn't stop it on time. I ended up making a 4. But at that time I was like, imagine
your
like,
heart probably sank. Yeah,
imagine like you start off your round with a hole in one. Like you got to play the rest of the round out. I played like where the 12th hole ends is kind of by the parking lot. So like sometimes I'll just duck out.
Yeah.
But you got to finish it to register that hole in one, right? So
yeah. I don't know. I think I can handle Port Hope greens. I grew up playing cherry, man. Those are they're not bad anymore, but back in the day, man, those things were.
You can handle it. The course would beat you up a little bit though the first couple times you play. It's just a humbling course. Like the Players Tour, the Toronto Pro Tour was there last year, and
and you said they only shot like what 3 under?
No, there's one guy who's 1 under par. He was the only guy. There's only one player under par. I think it was Ryan Borg. and nobody else was under par. So like, you know, if they're playing like Watson's Glen, I think they had an event where they were like
Yeah, and
12 under and
crushing it.
stuff.
Yeah.
Just putting up low numbers. So it's not a birdie course, right? You take your birdies when you can get them, which is great. If you get a birdie, that's awesome. But you're playing for par there. Like you really are playing for pars. There's not many birdies out there.
Yeah.
And when you
It's kind of similar to Cherry though too. I mean, it's
Yeah.
hard to score at Cherry.
when you think you have a birdie incoming, you got a 3-putt like sitting there waiting for you, right? So
Yeah.
but that's golf, man. That's fun. Like I really enjoyed it.
Totally.
It was pretty cool to I would encourage some people to knock down the bag a little bit. It was fun. Like give it a try
Yeah.
if you're not like too serious about your score. Like it didn't really change anything. I was telling Chris from Custom Clubs today that I only really noticed it on 3 shots, and I ended up taking the higher lofted club, so like the lower number and higher number, sorry. And 2 out of 3 of them worked out well. That other one was where I came up short on the par 5 because I didn't think like hitting a 5-iron. I didn't know if it would like receive at all. So
Man, it's so hard to play in the wind. Like it just screws with your mind so much. I feel like.
yeah,
Well, me anyways. Like even on the tee with a driver in your hand and like the wind's right at you, it's like it's so intimidating because you're just like, well, my ball's not going anywhere. So.
Yeah. But it's cool because we'll try and get into a little bit more on course talk and stuff like that throughout the weeks. But
Yep.
we Bryce, we got to cut it. We got an episode coming up here to record. So yeah, hopefully everybody's getting out, enjoying the courses. If you're in the Port Hope area, give me a call or send a DM over at on the Screws Podcast or at OTS Golf over on Instagram. If you're in Michigan, send us a message. I'll get in touch with Bryce and go and play around.
For sure.
You're keeping score though. Every hole,
Always.
shot.
Every stroke.
I love it. But yeah,
I won't ever judge people though. Like I won't be sitting there counting someone else's score. It's just
no,
mine.
that's the thing, right? Like, because I'll have to register it if I want to play Club C. So I'll probably pick 20 days or so where I go out and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna bring all the clubs. I'm gonna go out there and shoot a score today, and I'll fire something. But Bryce just left, so thanks everybody.
Oh, right here, I'm showing. Look at this. These are literally all my recent rounds, all dated.
Yeah, I like the date. The date is kind of good, but
that's how much I care about my score.
If you're interested, guys, we have the merch. Thanks for everybody who's Bryce is wearing it right now. He's got the khaki sweater on, the Hosel hoodie and the Snappy Gilmore. So I'm repping the Pioneer one. So thank you, AJ. But yeah, keep in mind we've kept it pretty cheap. You might run into some duty. We've had a few people run into that recently, so we've tried to keep it as cheap as possible. But you might run into a little bit of that because sometimes they ship it from the States, and we have no idea how to figure that out yet. But yeah, let's get into it with Jaclyn Lee. Yes. Jaclyn, how are you, fellow Canadian? How are you doing?
I am doing great, thank you. On a bit of an off week right now, so I've had some time to recuperate before heading back out.
So what was the schedule? I guess we'll jump right into it. What was the schedule leading up to here?
We've only played, it's all a blur. I think that we played 4 events already. So we started out in Florida and Winter Haven, and that was kind of one off out on the East Coast. And then we did 3 events on the West. We went to Mesa in Arizona, then Beaumont, California, and then back to Tucson, Arizona. And then a couple week break, and then head back down there to go to Utah, and then Garden City is our next stretch.
Nice. Okay, so EPSON Tour right now. So anybody listen to the pod knows it as the Symetra Tour. Bryce is here as well too. So if we're checking out on audio, Bryce, how are you?
I'm good. Worked a long Monday today. Just got home, but got him home and get a good chat in.
We'll put this one out probably on a Friday, Jaclyn. That's typically when we drop. But yeah, we're on a Monday right now, so weekend off, which is kind of nice. Are you watching any golf right now? What do you do in your downtime? Like what's up with Jaclyn when she's away from the course?
I like to read and nap. Honestly, napping's a big one.
Yeah. I'm with you there.
Yeah. And then, obviously this weekend I was watching the Masters, so I got pretty distracted with that.
Nice.
That was a lot of fun to watch. But yeah, just kind of chill. It really depends on what I'm in the mood for. I'm not always in the mood for Netflix, but I always have time for Netflix.
Well, you guys can nap. I have a 7-month-old little guy, so I'm not napping much
Yeah.
anymore, so that life
I
is,
don't
that
get
life is gone.
I don't get much time for naps. If that makes you feel any better.
So, are you a Tiger fan? What drew you to the Masters this weekend? What was it?
Yeah, Tiger fan. So I was excited to see him play and see how he looked up there. But I mean, it's the Masters in
Yep.
general, you know.
I agree.
It's exciting to see the world's best players go out and compete.
Mhm.
I know Minwoo, he was playing in the Masters for the first time, so that was really
Yep.
cool.
Yeah, he
Sunday
fired a 30,
played
I think,
well.
on the front on the
Uh-huh.
front
he
Sunday,
did.
right?
He
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, played really
And
well.
so it was really fun to like watch his progress. Go there, and then I mean to watch Scotty Scheffler play.
Dominate.
Yeah. I mean, I know that he probably didn't want to four putt the last hole, but I mean, the fact that you can four putt the
I know.
last hole and still win by 3, pretty amazing.
I was trying
Did
to.
you get a chance to see Max Homa's tweet after? Me and Mac kind of
I
talked
did.
about it.
So
Yeah,
I was
that
just
made
looking
me
up.
laugh.
I was looking up the stats like based on so somebody who's won 4 times on tour in a year, one being a World Golf Championship, one being a major. There's only 2 people to do it. Tiger Woods has done it 8 or 9
6 times, I
times.
think. I
Is
think
it?
it's
Yeah, it was like
6 or 7.
yeah, pretty much 2004 to 2009, I think, or 2011. So, but there was another one. So I had to grab this for you, Bryce. Masters winning score over under was 277.5. Scotty Scheffler double bogeys, the 18th to finish 278. So
A lot of people lost some money there.
yeah, so that was it was, you know what though, he kind of said it afterwards. He didn't really feel any nerves until he walked up to the green, right? So, and then they all just kind of hit him. So he was.
Well,
he
that's
was
what I
stone
said. I
cold all
mean,
day.
we were watching it, and Shay was like, "Wow, like what's going on?" I was like, "You do not understand the nerves that guy's feeling right now." Like,
Right. And the thing,
over
and
that putt.
you know, I think that people misunderstand that he's won before, especially like this year, right? And so people think that like, oh, like it's just another tournament. Like, why would he be nervous? Like he's got such a big lead. But like this is the moment that every
Right.
kid dreams of when they
Yeah.
dream like, I want to play on LPGA, or sorry, on the PGA Tour. They're like, I want to win the Masters, and they're like, this is the putt to win the Masters.
Yeah, totally.
And like even though he had a bit of a grace in terms of how many putts he should have on the last hole.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the nerves still come into play for sure.
Totally.
Still won by a field goal, which is pretty amazing. But
yeah,
like I saw that photo too floating around of him and I guess he won a junior event on the same Sunday that Tiger won the '97 Masters. So he was 10 years old, I think. So pretty
Wow.
I guess pretty cool event for him to be in, and obviously he's on fire. 50 days ago he was not a PGA Tour champion, not a like
Right.
he's won 90 plus events like through his amateur career and stuff like that. So obviously he's no stranger to the winner's circle, but yeah, winning 4 events now within 50-day stretch is it's almost unheard of. Jason Day did it one time, right? So it's pretty incredible. But back to our guest here, we're in conversation with Jaclyn Lee, currently at EPSON Tour. So Jaclyn, maybe we can start kind of with a little bit of we got off track early, but that's okay. easy to talk golf. But
I mean, an exciting weekend just happened, so fair enough.
Definitely did. But maybe we can talk about a little bit about kind of you growing up, how you got into the game, kind of what drew you to it.
Yeah. My dad got me and my sister into the game. I have a sister, she's 2 years older. And so we're just a family of 4. My dad thought that, you know, it's a good life skill to have. Just like being able to play golf. A lot of business deals are made on the golf course. So he kind of got us into it because of that. And then thought that because we were a family of 4, we'd be a natural for him to take this up as a family sport. So I started when I was 10. My sister was 12. And then started competing when I was 11. And quite honestly, like I disliked golf when I first started it. I mean, like I was 10 years old. We were spending our summers in Kelowna. Like I'm a kid. I just want to go and play with my friends at the beach.
Mm-hmm.
And then my dad's on this golf kick and wants to play golf like every day of the summer. And like it got to a point where we were playing 36 holes as well. Like we would have like the first tee time in the morning. And we would walk, and then we'd go back, have lunch, and then we'd get to take a cart for like the second 18 in the afternoon. So I mean, I didn't love it that much, but I think that when we started to get into tournaments and compete, that's when I was like, oh, like this is actually fun. Because before, my dad would say, I want to go practice today, and in my head I'm like, why do I want to go practice? Like what's the point of just like hitting balls on the driving range? But when it started to turn to competition, I was like, okay, like there's actually a purpose. We're trying to get better here.
When was the first time you beat Dad?
Oh, honestly, I don't even know. But that's a good question because me and my sister always thought that he was so good. Like when we went to go play like a par 3 golf course, like 9 holes, and he'd shoot, I don't know, like 32 or 33, we'd be like, oh my God, Dad is so amazing. Like he's shooting 32, 33. And I mean, it's a par 27. So like, honestly, he's like not that great. But we thought that he was
Hey now. Some, some par 3 tracks
shoot
are
that on the regular.
Yeah,
right?
some par 3 tracks are a little tricky out there. They can be tough. All right, not as many strokes to make up in par 3s as well. Bryce carries the ball like 340, so at least on some par 5s he can make.
Oh yeah, no, these are short par 3s. Like
yeah,
it was
but
a
that's
short
where my
city
game's
course.
terrible.
The
100 and
wedges.
in, I'd shoot 47 on that par 3 course.
Oh man, but yeah, I guess you probably got him by your early teens, I would guess, right? So your sister,
well,
she played competitively?
Yeah, and well, my parents honestly stopped playing golf, like, I don't know, like in the early years of us competing, because I think that they started focusing on us, like taking us to tournaments and whatnot, and just stopped playing golf as much. So just funny because he got us into the sport so that we could all play as a family. And then as soon as me and my sister got really into it, they were like, okay, like we're not going to play anymore.
Bryce, that sounds just
but
like it sounds like Bryce's parents here. Like 3 of these guys all playing like high level hockey. Your dad probably got you into it to, and your mom watch you play a little bit, and then every week, every day is just taken up by watching you guys play hockey all the time, right?
Yeah.
So,
exactly. Kids take over your life.
Yeah.
But yeah, my sister, she plays too, or she did play. She didn't go to the States for college. She kind of knew that she didn't really want to pursue professional golf. So she actually went to UBC Okanagan and played on the golf team there and actually won a national championship there. So,
nice.
I mean, like the running joke in the family is that she's won a national championship and like I haven't.
So I'm looking at a couple things here. Just grab these so you can correct me if any of them are wrong. So the WGCA second team All-American 2018. Was that while you were at OSU?
Yes.
And then first team All Big Ten 2018?
Yes.
Nice. Okay. So can we talk about college golf a little bit? Can we get into that?
Yeah, for sure. Really enjoyed college golf. Kind of just like, I guess, fast forward to the end in terms of I actually I didn't graduate early. I graduated on time, but I left the golf team early because I got my Lpga tour card after going to Q school during senior year. But college was fun. And I mean, I think that my freshman year, I struggled a little bit from my point of view. I didn't feel like I contributed to the team in a way that I would have wanted to. I mean, like my scores are still counting, but I just wish I could have shot better and contributed in like a bigger way. And so kind of was off to a bit of a slow start. And even second year, I don't think I'd even won a tournament yet, but definitely was improving and just playing better. And then junior year was definitely my breakout year, where I won most of my events and set some course records and stuff. So, yeah, that was junior year is probably my best year. I mean, I loved all 3 years that I spent on the golf team there.
What's the low round right now?
At Ohio State.
Well, you had a couple course records. I feel like I
feel like in general.
Like
just
I'm on
yes.
I have like that 18 birdies app. I have a 32. I have a 32 at like the 9-hole course here. That's like par 35. So that's my course record right now. But yeah, that's
right. I have a course record from like junior golf, like I think at Silo Golf and Country Club or something, and I think I shot 67. But in college,
nice.
I shot 64, 69, 64. And at one point that, I mean, it's broken now, but it was an NCAA record for a 3-day tournament.
Wow.
So yeah,
that was all in one tournament.
64.
Yeah, that was.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's low.
I mean, 64 was my best score too, as well. So like that was unreal for me to go and have a personal best.
What did you win by?
64. I honestly can't remember. I think because there was some like after the first round, I wasn't leading. I mean, I shot 64, but I was like, oh, like I mean, I'm probably like up there on the leaderboard, and I saw some girl shot 62, and there was a 63 on the board. I was like, oh shoot, like I'm not leading.
Yeah.
So I don't even know how much I went by. I think it was maybe by a few.
Yeah, that's a low weekend though. You were dialed in.
Yeah, it felt like I blacked out.
Yeah.
So just before we move on from school, so this Bryce, when did we were chatting with Paul Park from G-Pod. He plays on PGA Tour Latino America right now. What, it had to be 2 months ago maybe, and Paul kind of said obviously incredible golfer, really beautiful swing, great guy. You know, he mentioned something about when he was away at school too, that he felt like he didn't contribute as much as how he wanted to,
Much as he wanted to, yeah.
and he attributed some of it to like he didn't feel like he fit in, like he was like a finance major. He had like a lot of friends and stuff. He just didn't feel like he had it at that time. Like was there something about like the college life, like the balance, you know, your academics as well as playing on a, you know, a sports team with that much demand? Like can you kind of explain, like was there something that, you know, made it a little bit more difficult? Would you attribute it to anything?
Yeah, no, honestly, for sure. So my freshman year, I mean, I was already declared a finance major. I got pre-accepted into the business school early. But for some reason, because before I got into golf, I wanted to be a doctor. So, I mean, even in college, like I was trying to take courses for the pre-med route. So in my head, I was like, oh, like I can be a finance major, and then I can do my prerequisites as my general elective courses. And for some reason, I thought that would like be feasible, while being on the golf team.
Right.
And I think I was, it was stressful. I mean, I did well in my classes, but I was pretty like sleep deprived. And I mean, I was stressed out, and I just think that, I put a lot of pressure on myself, because the more that you don't perform, you put more pressure and expectations on yourself. And then obviously that doesn't help. It can't do you any good doing that. So I think it was just like a combination of a lot of things and getting settled. I felt like going into college, I actually had a good base of what it was like to need to time manage and kind of be on the road, having to do homework and all that stuff, because I was on the Canadian national team, like the junior development team at that time. And every month we had gone and done training camps that were like 4 or 5 days long. So even in high school and stuff, I was used to missing a lot of class, and having to be really proactive with my schoolwork, and being able to get that down the road. So I felt like I was prepared in that way, but I think that I just had overloaded in like my first year at college, and just, I don't know, I think I honestly put a lot of pressure on myself when that really wasn't the most helpful.
You were also still pretty young though, and probably still had a lot to learn, do you think? Like your first and second years?
Yeah. And then I also was overcoming like a wrist injury. I had tendonitis. I actually didn't play Canadian junior girls like the last year that I was eligible to play. I withdrew like a couple weeks before that event, because I had already played a long stretch of events where my wrist felt like it was gonna fall off if I played another tournament. And I knew I was going to college like that August, so I made a decision to not play Canadian junior girls, and I didn't touch a club for 5 weeks, and I still had to sit out another week once I got to school, so I missed the first event as well. So yeah, just kind of a lot of things that just didn't really align for like a smooth start to school. But I mean, it just adversity, and makes you stronger.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. You come out, you know, you get your Lpga card, like you mentioned, you leave a little bit early, right? So that first year pro golf, you left, did you say like a half a semester? You took the final year off?
Yeah, I took I left half a semester early.
Okay.
So I went to Q school August of my senior year, because I had to go through stage 1, and then stage 2 was in October. And the final stage was right after that, which was a 2-week deal, in like early November or whatever. So I did miss a couple events in the fall season of senior year. And then around early December is when I decided that I was going to turn pro, and then miss it on my spring season of senior year.
So you like when you're at school, they're okay with that? Like they're helping you kind of prep for that?
Yeah, I mean, everyone was super supportive. My teammates I felt like I was letting them down, and they were like, Jaclyn, if we were in your shoes, like we would turn pro in a heartbeat, and like you're crazy, like if you don't take this opportunity, like you worked so hard for it already. And even had meetings with our athletic director Gene Smith and our associate athletic director Dan Cloran, who managed our golf team, and they were both like, yeah, like you got to turn pro. And they're like, don't feel bad, this happens all the time. Like it happens all the time in basketball and football. I mean, like less common in golf for sure, but like, I mean, this is what we're prepping you for. Like if these are your dreams, like, and you made it, like this is what you got to do. There's no sense in holding back.
That's awesome. That definitely had to have helped with the transition and kind of making things a little smoother. Like
Yeah.
you said, you did kind of feel bad, but with all that support, it definitely probably helped your transition and get to that next level.
For sure. It really did.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Bryce, I got a question for you. So Bryce has played like in the Ontario Hockey League. He's played high level hockey. Has hung it up now. But is it any different, Bryce, when you're playing? You know, like that's considered professional hockey at that stage. Is it any different than playing, you know, college level, or if you're playing like in school?
Well, not so much. With hockey, it's different because like the OHL is considered semi-pro, but it's kind of on the same level as college college hockey.
Right.
So it's a little different than golf because those athletes are on the same level. It's just considered school and pro. It's kind of like you can go either way, but it's considered the same amount, or the same level. But I know exactly where she's coming from. We're like kind of struggling the first couple of years because I did the same thing. I went away when I was 16, struggled through playing just because I was playing against guys so much older than me, and I kind of related to you there because I knew exactly where you're coming from because it's hard. And I was still in high school, so I had to balance that school hockey and yeah, it was hard, but with a lot of support you get through it, and just kind of you got to grind through it.
Yeah, I guess what I'm thinking is like, you know, you hear if you do the NCAA route, it makes it so you can't become a professional while you're playing. So Jaclyn, for you, that's like a big step in your career to
Yeah.
you know, you're foregoing your education at that point. You
Mm-hmm.
can't go back, I assume. I don't know if the regulations are the same way for golf as it would be for hockey, but once you make that step, you can't go back.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have that like support system, I guess, is what I'm saying, making sure that, you know, people are looking out for you, helping you get there. Your parents were okay with it. They were supportive of you going through that.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the funny thing too, where like if you had asked me in like 2014, 2015, if like I thought that I was gonna ever turn pro early, I would have been like, no, you're crazy. I'm not ready. I definitely wasn't that talented as a junior and amateur where I ever even thought about foregoing attending college and playing collegiate golf and going straight to professional level. I knew that my game had a lot of room to grow. And I knew that spending 4 years at college would be very helpful and kind of test the waters and see if I would really be ready to play on the Lpga. And it kind of just happened like in, I guess, like I don't want to say perfect storm because it's not really a storm, but it just kind of happened the way it did. And I ended up getting my Lpga tour card early and ended up turning pro early, but I still graduated. So that was like
That's
the
good.
one thing which I think that we were all on the same page about when I was talking to Gene Smith and Dan Cloran and like my parents and stuff, was that I was always going to finish my education. I only had one class left because I really had stacked all my courses kind of in my first few years, just trying to have a chill senior year. And yeah, I ended up only having one class. So I finished that online while I played my first half on Lpga.
That doesn't sound like you at all. We've been on that call for, I don't know, 20 minutes here, and it doesn't sound like you to kind of put all your classes all up front so you can try and, you know, front load them and have a bit of an easier time at the end. But so that's 2019, right? 2019?
Yes, 2019 was my rookie year.
Okay, so
Yeah.
any highlights, like anything, like I was kind of looking through it a little bit earlier. Any highlights from the season that kind of stuck out to you, like the first event? Were you starstruck at all? Run into anybody, practice rounds, that kind of thing?
I remember, I mean, I'm not a person that gets super starstruck, but I remember we started off the season in Australia and Christina Kim was like, hey, Jaclyn. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how does she know my name? And so like kind of just like the little moments like that kind kind of figuring out that all the veterans on tour are super nice. Like
Yeah.
they're not there to intimidate you or like gatekeep any secrets. Like they're there to help. And I think that realizing that early on as a rookie was really beneficial, because I mean, there's rookies that really just kept to themselves and kept to the rookie class. But I really liked hanging out with the older girls just because I feel like, I don't know, they just had so much like to offer, and like they truly wanted you to have a good experience out on tour. Like they were so kind, and it was like, if you ever need anything, like just let me know. It's never any type of trouble. And I got off to a good start in Australia, but then struggled a little bit in our first few events coming back to the States for that part of the season. And what happened was I struggled for a few events and then started playing good again. And then I got injured in May of my rookie season. So that was kind of a bit of a blow to the season.
Yeah, I'm just
That's
looking.
kind of
Go
Go
ahead,
ahead,
Bryce.
man.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
That's kind of cool just to hear about that, because not a lot of people that like aren't involved really know how friendly and how kind of not so much. I mean, they're a competition, but everyone's kind of friendly to each other and cares about
Yeah.
each other. It's just not a lot of people hear about that side of kind of the tour and how everyone's friends and hangs out with each other. So it's kind of cool to hear that
Yeah.
side of the story.
Yeah, it is really nice. And I mean, also my rookie year on tour, there was, I think, maybe like 5 Canadians on tour.
Mhm.
So it was almost like a Canadian contingency, and like you knew that like that they would do anything for you if you needed help. And so yeah, no, it's a really great environment out there.
Well, and if you're watching the Masters, like we kind of started off the chat with the ANWA, Augusta National Women's Amateur,
Mhm.
Anna Davis won, which was pretty amazing, youngest to ever do it. And like right at the end, you see like her friends coming like running over, like she just beat one of them. Bryce and I were talking about, remember HV3 won a couple months ago, and like what you didn't see
Yeah.
was like he made a 92-foot eagle putt to beat Bubba Watson. So Bubba's probably standing off the green thinking he's either going to win or maybe a tie if he hits a good putt. And he drops like a 90, it was 92 or 95 feet or something like that. And
Mhm.
so, HV3, Harold Varner III and his caddy kind of run, they jump, they hug and everything like that. But what you don't see is like Bubba running onto the green. They're good buddies to like,
Yep.
Bubba's obviously made a
Mhm.
lot of money in his career and he's doing pretty well. So I don't think he was too upset by it. But, you know, he was really genuinely happy, and I saw the same thing like when Tiger was walking off the course, like Bubba was right in front of the clubhouse and kind of stopped and like shook his hand and like it was so genuine, right? So it's nice to see like that camaraderie between players and whatnot.
Totally.
Like
For sure.
all professionals, everybody's there to kind of win, but like you see the same thing. Like you saw, well, when Rory hit his like crazy shot on 18, and
And
then
Morikawa.
Morikawa makes his, and like
Yeah.
Rory's like genuinely thrilled for the guy who's just
Right.
that put all of my Corey Connors, my Will Zalatoris, both of those guys
Yeah,
are in the top
all
5.
through the
That knocked
window.
him out. So I had my
That was
top.
cool because then Morikawa buried it and Rory did the same
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, that was
awesome.
really cool.
Yeah, like I was thrilled because it was a great shot, but I saw my top 5 bets go to number 6, which was it was a costly play.
That was tough.
It was tough, but it was a really really good sequence of events, so I was actually pretty happy with seeing that. But anything else that kind of stands up from that first year of the LPGA? Like you went on to play again in 2022 as well.
Yeah, so 2020,
sorry,
that was
2020, yeah.
our, 2020, that was our COVID year. But at that point, I had taken a medical for my injury that I sustained in 2019. But because 2020 was a bit of a wash year, like I was still able to play tournaments on LPGA without it affecting my medical, because it was basically whoever wanted to play could play,
Right.
but it wasn't going to count for any points for the season. And then so 2021, I finally finished up my medical and I played LPGA for the first half of the season. I played about, I think, 10 or 11, which looking like when I was in the moment, I didn't realize I'd played that many LPGA events last year. But then I looked at the stats and I was like, oh, I actually played like a decent bit. And then I finished the rest of my season on Symetra Tour, which is now EPSON.
So one of the things, one of the trends that Bryce and I find with, we've chatted with a lot of guys who are up on PGA Tour Canada, down on PGA Tour Latino America. Callum Davison, PGA Tour Canada Player of the Year a couple weeks ago, is the travel.
Yeah.
What did you think about the travel? How'd you deal with it? Is it that was one of the first things. I think actually Rebecca Lee Bentham said that to me first, was when you leave school, you're your own travel agent at that time, right? So you kind
Yeah.
of you get fed to the wolves, so to speak. You're kind of into it. Did you find that to be, you obviously extremely organized? Did you find that to be an easy transition for you, or something that was difficult?
Yeah, no, definitely different because like you said, we're not used to doing that as an amateur. Like in college, your college coach is organizing all that stuff for you. And in the summertime, we had our pet national team coach do that as well. So yeah, when you're in the pro life, you do have to do that all by yourself. And it's not that it's difficult, but it just is, it's an energy vampire, you
It
know, like
drains
just to
you.
go. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not just getting like your airfare. You got to think about your accommodations and your rental car and all that stuff, and trying to figure out, okay, well, when's the best time? Like we don't even know like when we're finishing on Sundays. So then, like, do I book on a Monday, or do I try to find it like a really late night flight on Sunday? So there's a lot of considerations in terms of like planning when you're trying to plan a season. And my first year in Lpga, I think everything was just so exciting. I was just so happy to be doing it. You know, I got to go to
You
all these
didn't care
cool
about the
places.
travel.
Right. Yeah. And then I think that in 2020 was a bit of a year for everyone. You know, like it's the pandemic, and you're not really allowed to travel with anyone. I mean, you can, but if you get COVID, then the person that you travel with also like cannot play the event.
Right.
So it was a year where a lot of people who really do stay with other people in housing or share cars and stuff, we weren't doing that anymore. And it, even like dinner and stuff, you had to get takeout and eat in your hotel room. So that was a tough year. And I think that at that point I was a little bit over the travel already, just because
Right.
I mean, you're traveling and seeing all these cool places, but or like getting to go to these cool places, but can't actually like see cool places while you're there, right? Like you're really just confined to your hotel room when you go to the golf course and then eat. So I think that my honeymoon phase, like loving the travel, was cut early with COVID.
Sounds like a lot of
But
hotel room
yeah,
putting practice, you know?
yes, for sure. Yeah. A lot of hotel room putting practice and Netflix and just like eating on your hotel bed. Because we weren't even allowed to like say get Chipotle and then sit on the bench outside Chipotle. Like that was not
Yeah.
allowed. It
Right.
was pretty strict.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then this year with EPSON Tour travel again, it's very different. Like I am gonna be driving across the country for like basically all of this year versus when I was playing on Lpga. You couldn't really you could drive to a few events if they were in a row, but the schedule is so international, is so spread out, that driving a car like to every single event isn't really feasible. Which on EPSON Tour it is more feasible. Like yes, you have weeks where it really sucks because you got 15-hour drives in between, but it is definitely a bit more feasible of like, okay, like there is some sort of route to get to the next event by car.
Yeah, it's at least possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna lose this one. Do you guys want to hop out, and do you got a few
Yep.
minutes? You can hop back in with us,
Yeah.
Jaclyn? Okay, great.
Yeah, we can hop back in. Yeah.
Awesome. I didn't look at who was on the top or the bottom. I never do that with you and I. I need to.
I just got to pee quick.
Yeah. Perfect. Bryce just
All right,
ran to the
perfect.
bathroom, but we can
Yeah,
just
no
jump
worries.
right back. You know, he'll hop in as we go.
All right.
But yeah. So we're kind of fast forward right back to the EPSON Tour. So that's this season. How many events are you in now?
Into the season,
Yeah.
we're starting our 5th event next
Okay.
week, or I guess next week sometime.
Yeah, I think that's right. So we're kind of
Mm-hmm.
you know, we were saying we're on a couple week break, and then you can you're
Mm-hmm.
gonna drive back down. Where's that one located?
I did leave my car in Arizona and just came back up to Canada for a little bit. But yeah, I'm gonna be driving the rest of the season. So it'll be like a 5-6 hour drive up to Utah from where it is. It's right by Zion National Park.
Okay.
So it's pretty close to the Arizona border. But then, like I was mentioning before, like we have some pretty long drives in between. So it's about a 15-hour drive from where it is in Utah to the next event in Garden City in Kansas.
Yeah, Bryce was on there when we were chatting with Callum, and I was chatting with Lucas Noni. He's out west. I actually went and visited him. He's at Bear Mountain. I got to play.
Okay, yeah.
I was there for like a week and got to play 14 holes. So it was like the worst possible weather. We talked about that on the pod already. It was tough. It was a really tough time, but really tough flight out there. But he and his wife, they kind of like retrofit a Sprinter type van. And they drove so they went down, played a couple PGA Tour Latino America events, came back up here, kind of started on I guess they were out on the East Coast, really. I think they started in PEI, kind of made their way around. So 50-something thousand kilometers. So he said same thing, a lot of driving. But for this year, anything, Jaclyn, that you're kind of really trying to dial in, or do you have any goals, anything that you want to accomplish for this season?
Yeah, honestly, just trying to clean up like my game, to be honest. I feel like after my injury during my rookie year, like game just hasn't felt the same as before. And then like I know that the same isn't always the best thing. Like there's always the possibility of being better than you were before. But just some things which just like haven't felt quite like the game that I know, and like they are starting to come back in little bits and pieces, so it's nice to see that going on. But to really just clean up my game overall, I've been working really hard on like my putting and my short game, which like has definitely helped this past off season. And then the swing has been a big thing, just because after getting my injury in rookie year, like I had to change my swing to be able to protect my wrist a little bit better in the swing, so that it wouldn't keep on getting injured.
Is it your lead wrist?
No, it's my right wrist.
Okay.
Yeah, I tore some ligaments in my right wrist.
Yeah, it's hard to recover from that.
I'm going through a little something in my elbow, plus I'm getting a little bit older, so I've had some fluid on the elbow for a while, and it's been a long off season up here. So obviously, like, course opens up, in a couple days when we're having this chat, so I'm looking forward to it. Now I don't know, I'll go play. I don't have to worry. If I need to, I can just take time off if it bothers me. But the most I do is when PGA Tour Canada comes up here, I carry the bag for some buddies. That's the extent I have in my game. That's the kind of the peak of my game right now. You can see the bib up. Well, you can see the corner of the bib up behind me. But yeah, that's about it. That's the cool part for my season. It's just getting to beat the pants off Bryce whenever we get together. So yeah, Bryce and I both have very
we're gonna have some good
games.
Matches this summer. We're gonna have some good matches. We play a complete different style of golf, like literally two opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, we've said that though. Great scramble team. I think we have a match with Bob Weeks and Mark Zucchino coming up. Really, he could take anybody you want.
Nice.
And I feel like Bob Weeks has a good Rolodex that he could probably put together somebody that we would have a tough time against. But Bryce and I together, like Bryce hits it like, a needle off the tee, carries it like 340. I can hit a wedge in close and I roll it real good. Like that's my game.
I can't
Well, that's the perfect ham and egg.
Yeah, definitely. So I think we'll make a good scramble team one day, but who knows? We'll see. The matches just continue right now for us. But CP Women's Open is back, just like the Canadian Open is. So is Rbc Canadian Open. Is there any shot we'll see you there this year? I think it's at Ottawa Hunt.
Hunt.
Yeah.
There's a possibility you'll see me there. I'm still trying to figure out what my tournament schedule is around that time, but would love to play if I could.
Nice.
I haven't played in Canadian Open in a while. Like, I mean, I played it in 2016, and then I played it the last time that it was at Ottawa Hunt. I think that might have been 28. No, I don't know what year that was that it was at Ottawa Hunt previously, but yeah, it's been a while, and like I love playing in Canada because the fans are just amazing. Like it doesn't matter if like you're from like locally where the Canadian Open is being held. If you're Canadian, they come out and support you and they cheer so hard for you. So that's always fun. Yeah. And I love that tournament. They honestly do such a great job of like hosting that event. It's one of the players' events favorite. It's one of the players' favorite event out on LPGA. Even though it's not like a major anymore, like the girls always really enjoy it because of how well it's run.
Yeah, it was 2017. I think I just looked that up.
17.
Yeah, I
Okay,
think that
gotcha.
sounds right. And I'm looking forward to going. It's I think second last weekend of August.
Yes.
So when I was chatting with Bob Weeks there a couple weeks ago with their Masters preview, we started off with Brooke Henderson. It was during the Chevron is when we were talking first round, I think. So just talking about like the things that she's going through with her game, some swing changes, obviously, changing up the driver and stuff like that. Brooke Henderson's like, I'm a Mike Weir guy. I grew up. I'm a lefty. I kind of grew up in the Mike Weir era, but I think like as far as a Canadian goes, like I love Corey Connors' game, but I think Brooke Henderson's it. I think she's the greatest Canadian golfer of all time. I think, so we're pretty lucky. We've got some really good, Canadian players that'll be in the field. I think it's only a few hours for me as well to get out there and see it. So I'm looking forward to trying to get out there. So hopefully I can meet you in person. I know we got a few people and the Canadian Open here, the men's Canadian Open, and then obviously the Rockets over by Bryce there. So, which I was actually talking with Bryce off topic here, but Billy Spencer, so he's Sung J M's caddy. He's been on the pod in the past, and I was talking to him just earlier today. So they had a pretty good tournament at the Masters.
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty good for those guys. But I wanted to ask you. So this is something that I wrote down here, Jaclyn. How do we get the blue check? How do we get the blue check on IG? I saw that you got it. You have to have been asked this before.
I got it through LPGA.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Bryce, you think you think Chad can get it through the NHL or something?
I don't know how Chad hasn't got it yet, because I know once even if you just get drafted in NHL, you're supposed to get it, I think. Because my roommate went third round to Tampa, and he got it like 3 days after the draft.
Really.
So I guess they pick and choose, but yeah, they just literally like he just woke up one day and looked at his Instagram and he had the blue check. Like he didn't know anything about it. So I don't know. OTS is on the board up there, so we'll be getting it soon.
Yeah, we I don't know. We got to get that consistent like top status. We got to beat out those foreplay guys. So
yeah,
I don't know if we can ever do that. We creep up there a little bit. So thank you everybody for the support. We get up there sometimes. It's really cool. But the blue check is definitely it's
a big deal for sure.
It sticks out there. Social media is a big thing.
Yeah, totally.
Jaclyn, one of the ways that I found your page and we got connected. We got chatting through you do some work with Cutter and Buck and vice versa, and we've kind of had some conversations. I'm going to go and visit Jamie over at Cutter and Buck in the next little while. So
Nice.
I'm not sure if you know her, but how do you kind of, you've been able to work through some of those partnerships in your career? Like, are those some things that you're kind of open to? Like, are you able to, obviously it takes like a lot to be able to fund a professional golf career. So can you share kind of some of those? We don't need to know any of the details or anything, but just how you kind of go about that idea with, working with endorsements and stuff like that?
Honestly, like endorsements are pretty hard to come by in women's golf. And like, I mean, I'm really lucky that like during rookie year, I was able to partner with RBC and Ping and Cutter and Buck. And like Golf Canada has still been a support since junior golf. But yeah, they're really important because our expenses add up so quick. And without having sponsorships, like, I mean, you're just like in the red every single week when it comes to that. And I mean, like I have friends on like the men's side who play professionally, and I mean, there's just such a big like disparity between the two still that it's really hard to hear sometimes, I'll be honest. Because like there's women on the LPGA who still don't have sponsorships half as good as like men on like European tour or like there's some LPGA players who like have a hard time getting clothing deals, like, and not even asking for money, just trying to get like clothes for the season. So it's really tough in terms of that. But for me, like I feel really lucky that I've been able to partner up with Cutter and Buck since I turned pro. They've been such a great company, and I think that for me too, when I'm looking at partnering up with a company or endorsing someone, I always have to feel like I truly love the brand, and I want to feel like I truly do endorse them and I love everything about it. For example, like Ping is a great family company. And like everyone who works for Ping are just through and through such great people, and they treat their staff so well. They're a company that like I have no problem being like, yes, like I play Ping golf clubs and like I don't mind having them represent me and me represent them. And same with Cutter and Buck. When I first met them too, I got to go to the quarters in Brampton, and everyone there was just so nice. I got the whole tour of their HQ, and they were all just so kind, and honestly like really generous with their time and product. So, and I mean they make great clothes, so what can you ask for?
They definitely do. And it's funny you mentioned Pink. Bryce's Pink Guy's playing you play the I-210s?
200s,
200s,
older.
yeah.
Back, but go back.
Yeah, a couple
back.
years back. Hey, I'm playing the I'm playing the Z785s, and it's gonna take I don't know. It's gonna be hard to get those out of my bag.
Yeah.
When you find something you like, it's we were talking like when we were talking. We were talking with Callum, and he's playing Generation 1 PXGs that he loves. Like he loves the irons, right? So it's something that if you find, and they're your gamers, right? So, I definitely I as soon as you said Ping, I kind of thought about all the photos that were kind of going around with the founder, and as they were going through the pandemic, he was like right down building clubs, putting clubs together and stuff like that, and trying to get the wait times down for people, right? Because we saw like such a huge boom, right? We saw like such a huge boom through the pandemic, and people wanted to golf, and it's hard to like get clubs right now. It's tough for people, but one of the things you mentioned there was like how tough it is for like females in golf, and really in any sport, just about. And one of the I guess this one will be out just after our chat with Carrie Moffat. So she is the host of the Still Away podcast. So that's kind of the idea is we're still away, the women's game, we're still away, like, and that was kind of what she was saying, right? So we still have to that's kind of the idea with Bryce and I. We want to connect with as many small brands, like we were talking Pioneer with AJ before, Go Track, some of those guys that are out by you. We've chatted with Cutter and Buck, Left Behind Golf. I'm looking kind of around my desk, like Club Up Customs, all these great like little brands that kind of do things to help us out, so we can engage with the community, as well as we can connect with players, pros, whatever it is, and club fitters. The idea is for us to try to connect with as many people, give whatever platform we can, and it's we're so glad that people appreciate it, and that we can kind of
been going good.
Yeah, make a connection with people too, right? It's genuine, and I think we can all do our part to make the game a little bit better, right? So
for sure,
that's kind of just one of those things that it's tough when you hear, and it's something that it's obviously a glaring concern, and there's a lot that goes on in golf. It's still a pretty old stuffy sport, but it's getting to be a little bit better, right? It's coming around. But
I mean, it was funny because when I was driving down from Calgary to Phoenix back in January, I was listening to the podcast I had saved, and I think it was a Golf Digest podcast, but they were talking to a Corn Ferry Tour player, and like the host and the player on the podcast are just talking about how sad it was that the average Corn Ferry Tour player is only making $75K a year, and like how that's miles off from like what they make on PGA Tour. And I'm just sitting there in my car being like, you're kidding me, because like, I mean, you only make 75 grand a year on EPSON Tour if you come like top 5 on the money list of the year. Like, I think that the average, I mean, I haven't done the calculation, so don't quote me on this, but I think that the average EPSON Tour player probably makes like $5 grand a year, like if that.
Yeah.
So I'm just like that. It's just hard for me to listen to these guys like just like console each other about how like little that they're making on the Corn Ferry Tour, when like they also don't have entry fees, and like on Lpga and EPSON Tour we have entry fees. And
on
I mean,
top
EPSON
of having to qualify.
Oh. Yeah, so like EPSON Tour, they used so when it was Symetra like last year, our entry fees were $500 per event. And then EPSON, I think that EPSON's doing a great job with being a new tour sponsor. But so they have their goal is by in the next few years to get entry fees down to $250, and so far they've lowered it to $450. and like it just like, I mean, like progress, I mean, I know it's only $50 a week, but like it does add up too, right?
Yeah, over the course of a year, it
yeah.
adds up, right? Is there an
For
upfront
sure.
fee? Like I know when we were talking with Scott Pritchard, he's the executive director of PGA Tour Canada. He was saying, I think each of the events were, I think he said 300, but it was 2,600 USD to register for the season. So do you have an upfront fee as well to
Yeah,
go
we
to Q
have
school?
we have an upfront fee as well.
Right.
And I can't remember how much that was. I think it might be just under 500 as well, just to like be a member of the tour. And then yeah, each event that you play, it's $500, or I guess $450 now. And then the thing too is I mean, everyone knows like when it comes to golf, if you don't make the cut, you don't make money.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, even if you are making the cut on EPSON Tour, like you might not even make back your entry fee sometimes, like after tax.
Which has got to be tough too, considering all the money you have to spend with travel and hotels and food, and it adds up quick.
Yeah.
Well,
so that's where it's just like, I mean, where you talk about like sponsorships are so important, even though they're so hard to come by, especially like on EPSON Tour versus Lpga. Is just because you have all these expenses, and then like you start, there's a lot of girls probably just like dipping into savings, and working second jobs.
Yeah, and we're seeing now too, I can't remember the name of the event. There's a $3 million prize pool in the Lpga, and that's the highest one that's been. So, you know, when you look at the Players Championship, I think it was $15 million, right? So there's still like a $12 million difference there. Plus you get the FedEx Cup, that's a $15 million prize pool for the winner, right? So, you know, it's a significant difference, and you know, there's still a lot of disparity, you know, a lot of change that needs to happen, and that's kind of like, you know, a bit of the conversation that we're having with Carrie. It's you know, again, trying to do our part and having that conversation and kind of bring more light to it. And you know, the idea of the Still Away podcast is that, right? So still a lot of things that we can fix, a lot of things even from like junior rankings and stuff like that too, right? Making golf more accessible for people, like for anyone, like juniors playing, you know, having to pay $30, $40, $50 for a round of golf is a lot of money, right?
Expensive.
So it is. It's a hard sport to get into, and it's hard to kind of build the game and grow it that way too, right? So there's so many good initiatives, but there's always you know, there's always some difficult parts too, right? But
for sure, I mean, there's always room for improvement, but we still have come a long way than like where we were even like 5-10 years ago. So I mean, we're like grateful for that progress, but we definitely still have a bit of ways to go.
So anybody who might be listening to this right now, Jaclyn, this is a great segue that might want to come over and support, or want to get in touch with you, or even just follow your career. What's the easiest way to? You mind sharing the social handles if possible?
Yeah, both on Twitter and Instagram. It is my name, Jaclyn Lee 57. Yeah, and that's basically it. I am a bit more active on Instagram than I am on Twitter. So yeah, those are kind of my two socials.
Perfect. We will, you know, if you're listening to the, you know, say it each time if you're listening on the podcast, or if you're in the car or watching us on YouTube, just go down. We'll link those below, and everybody can kind of check it out. And hopefully we see you up here in Ottawa in August, Jaclyn.
Yeah.
If you do, I'll come over. I'll introduce myself. I kind of stand out in a crowd with this big old beard, but I'll come find you. I'll come find you and say hello. But yeah, thank you so much for taking your time. I really appreciate you coming on and kind of sharing your career. That was cool. It's really nice to hear like the college route. Bryce and I, you know, sometimes we don't get into it a lot, so I find that it's definitely a fascinating, you know, avenue to kind of go through, and obviously it worked out really well for you. So all the best to you, Jaclyn. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. No, thank you for having me. I appreciate that.
Is out in my ball in the course, so I tee up. I lose the ball and I re-up. I miss a fairway, I probably end up in the ocean or maybe the beach. And I'm on a par 5 and I'm finna go reach it. Second was blind, I ain't see it. Feel like it might be an albatross working.